If you're watching this video, then congratulations. You've taken the first step in dramatically improving your skills in Agile test automation. My name's John Ferguson Smart, and I've been working in Agile software development and testing for over 20 years, and over that time, I've been lucky enough to have worked with some of the best Agile test automation engineers in the world. And today I want to share a few things that I find that the most successful test automation engineers tend to do. But let me start by asking a question. What is it that you want most of all to be able to do as a test automation engineer? What would you like to improve? I'm going to hazard a guess and say you're probably like a lot of testers, and what many testers want is to write tests faster, to go faster. They want speed, because if you can write tests super fast, then surely you can reach that objective of 100% automation. You can reach that goal of full in-sprint testing, or whatever management's asking of you. And that is how a lot of us learn to write automated tests. We try and go fast. We try and learn just enough test scripting, just enough Java, just enough JavaScript to write simple test scripts and start churning out test automation. And other folks use record replay tools to do the same thing. They try and use the simplest tool possible so that they can write more and more test automation scripts. But the problem is none of these techniques really make us go faster in the end, because going fast is not about churning out automation. That's just like pedaling harder on a bike. If you stay in first gear on a bike, you're never going to go much faster, no matter how hard you pedal. Test automation's the same. It's all about leverage. If you just write simple scripts, the way you've probably been taught, the way most testers write test scripts in the industry, the way most training courses on the internet teach automation, then you're never going to get out of first gear. So in this video, I want to show you some tips. I want to show you how to leverage skills, what you can leverage, what you can take advantage of to be truly better and faster at test automation. And one of the biggest leverage points is a shift in thinking that I see a lot in really good test automation engineers. They never talk about test scripts. In fact, the way they talk about automating acceptance criteria. They talk about writing acceptance criteria that can be automated. They talk about helping the teams come up with specifications that can be executed in the form of automated tests. What they don't do is write manual test cases and then automate them, because that's way too slow. They don't write separate test cases at all. In fact, that's way too inefficient. And understanding the real difference between executable specifications and test scripts is one of the keys to moving beyond traditional waterfall-style test scripting and getting the leverage and speed that you need to do proper test automation in an Agile or DevOps context. You see, test scripts in most cases are things that the testers write. They're things that you automate by yourself after the code's been written. As a tester, you don't get much help from the rest of the team. Often the developers don't even care if the tests pass. But when you know how to work with executable specifications, it's a whole different picture. You can get the team involved from very early on. Defining acceptance criteria becomes a group activity, and so is deciding how to automate them. I find it way easier in this approach to get developers involved in automation. And what this means is that as a tester, you need to do less automation yourself, and you collaborate more with developers so that automation becomes a team activity. The developers get way more engaged in the automation approach, and this makes automation easier to do and more effective because the developers can help make the application more testable. And starting early and spreading the work this way has another massive advantage. It's way easier to automate everything you need to automate. Not only do you start earlier, but it's much, much easier to know what tests you need to automate. It's quite simple, really. The acceptance criteria are the things the customer really cares about. So you start from there. Then you work with the developers to decide what else needs automating, what else needs testing, and what the best approach would be. And this will vary from case to case. But at the end of the day, you spread out the work and you prioritize the work, and it makes it way easier to know that you have automated everything you need to automate. But there's another problem that executable specifications solve for us. In most projects, there's a big issue. How do you trace back? How do you map your test cases back to the requirements that they were supposed to test? How do you prove that everything has been correctly tested? It's a lot of work. It's not much fun. But when you automate specifications rather than test cases, the traceability is done for you. If all of your acceptance tests pass, then from the customer point of view at least, you have tested the feature completely. End of story. I know plenty of teams who've saved days or weeks of work each release by using their executable specification reports as release evidence. A great test automation engine. But really good test automation engineers don't just write executable specifications. They don't stop there. They also extend this concept, extend this domain knowledge to writing powerful and flexible frameworks around and underneath these executable specifications. And this is what enables the teams to work together on writing the executable specifications and getting them running much faster and more efficiently. See, the thing about these frameworks is that they are tailored to perfectly fit the business domain. They model the automation code around highly reusable business tasks and business behavior, because really good engineers know that this is where the speed comes from. Your out-of-the-box approaches or your commercial automation tools just don't come anywhere near these frameworks when it comes to stability and reusability. You see, most test automation projects that I come across don't do this. They use more or less a cookie-cutter approach. They maybe what they've been taught or what they've seen on other projects. Basically, they use the same old pattern to any domain. For example, they'll use page objects for everything. But page objects are very limited in automation. They don't let you go that fast. They lock you into thinking only in terms of testing your UI, your screens, your fields, your buttons. And you end up modeling all of your tests, modeling your thinking even, at the UI level. And this just doesn't scale well. But working with a tailored collaboration framework is a very, very different experience. I mean, sure, they do take a bit more thought, a bit more design, a bit more experience to get them up and running. But once you're there, you'll be amazed at how fast and how smooth it is to write new tests. With this one tester I worked with recently, we spent 3 to 4 weeks coming up with a tailored domain-specific framework for a really complex banking application. And along the way, we got 300 scenarios automated. But then, the following week, the guy automated 400 new business scenarios, and he hardly added a line of code to the automation framework. So when we combine these two levers, automating specifications, writing executable specifications that your business people can understand and relate to and help write, and building a tailored automation framework that models business behavior and focuses on reusability and scalability, we hit this beautiful sweet spot of tests that are both quick to write and cheap to maintain. And that's the sweet spot you need to be aiming for.